Good morning, everybody. It's nothing like starting a little late after a really awesome conference, right? It is, what day is it? Is it Thursday? Yeah. Okay. It's Thursday. TLD cast. Welcome, everybody. All of you folks that are in the chat. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. This is going to be so much fun. We took a day off yesterday. If any of you were looking for us to be here, Luis and I just needed just one day. We probably actually need more, especially after the start this morning. But hey, you know what? We're just going to roll with it and jump into this. If there's anybody new in the chat with us this morning, we are TLD Cast, Training, Learning, and Development Cast, Chat, Conference, and Community. The community part being the most important. You can check us out at tldc.us, and you can also jump in and support us by becoming a member. When you out everything that's on there, and this is a really cool group. I want to hang out with these folks, and I'm getting a ton of value. You can give back by joining as a member, which is fantastic. You can also join the Slack channel. That's what we call TLD Chat. So that's where we have more of the text-based chat-style conversations in the Slack group. Thank you, Craig, for dropping in the links. We also have a podcast format. So when we get around to it, we take a lot of these recorded Crowdcast, TLD Cast recordings, and we get those pushed up to the iTunes podcast website. And that is something that we try to get to, but it's not always like right immediately when we do it. So if you're looking for a show that you cannot see on the podcast, please be sure to just hit up the Crowdcast site, because all the recordings are there as well. That's where we pull them down in order to get them on the podcast. So please feel free to let them know. If you are getting a ton of value out of this and you love this community as much as I do, hit that invite button at the top of the chat in the, maybe it's not above the chat based on how you're viewing this today, but there is an invite button in the interface, and you can click Twitter or Google Plus or LinkedIn. What's the other one? Facebook. Yes. And tell all your friends about what we do here at TLDC, and share our great conversation today, because we have a fantastic guest that I will be getting to shortly. So tell all of your friends that we don't just sit around and hang out and do open forums all the time. More often than not, we have a fabulous guest to share their expertise with us, and that is the case today. So I would normally go into what's coming up in the week ahead, but there isn't much week ahead. So we're just, we got 2 days left. So we have today, and tomorrow, of course, is Video Friday. And what we will probably do tomorrow is reflect a lot on the video production and what we learned at TLDC 18. I can't remember if Sam said he was going to be available for Video Friday or not, but I look forward to having that conversation anyways. So last but not least, be sure to check out the Ask a Question section and vote up the question that you would like to discuss. Yes, ask a question, click on it, vote it up, whichever one you would like to hear us talk about. And by us, of course, I mean my fantastic guest, whom I totally forgot to ask how to pronounce her last name, so I'm just going to go for it. Cassie Labori?
Perfect.
Oh, my goodness. You're saying that to be nice, I'll bet, right? So
No.
I'll let you say it for me.
I just say Cassie Labori also. If we had anyone here who speaks French, they might say it a little differently, but I'm not among them.
That's it. Awesome.
Labori, you're right. Thanks.
Oh, good. Just say, yeah, I know. That's how I tell people when they try to pronounce my name. I just support them and say, that's excellent. That's a great job. That's close enough.
It works.
Yeah. I've heard it all. I've heard it far too many different ways. But hey, everybody, this is Cassie. Welcome, Cassie.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Cool. Yeah, this is fun. We have, we were just kind of joking about, wow, why has it taken us this long to connect? I'm just meeting you for the first time too.
I know. We have so many friends in common, and it's like I feel like I've always known you, but officially we just met. So there
I
we
know.
go.
It's crazy how the industry works, right? It's just like, you can sort of not know each other, but yet just pick up and jump in and you have known each other.
So
So
nice. Must be all those stories, all those ones that people
right?
share about each other,
Yeah.
right?
Oh
It's good.
boy. Yeah. They're all good stories you're hearing.
Only the bad ones are interesting. Come on.
I know, right? Isn't that just the case? But oh yeah, thanks, Kim. I will do that. See, Cassie, I told you they keep me in line.
Yes.
I should just, they're not the chat room. I should just refer to them as my producers from now on because they help me, they help me make this go smoothly and make it more interesting.
It's
But,
actually a technique. I call upon that technique a lot. If I'm
oh, good.
delivering a class or a program and it's a smaller group, maybe I
Yeah.
don't have a producer officially, and since they're stressing out, why not let people help? Because they're kind of bored just sitting there. So,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, Craig, can you watch the chat for the next 15? And then Kim, I'll have you do it after that. And then, oh, does somebody want to circle these points for me as we're talking about it? Why not? It works.
Yeah. Oh, and it does. I mean, I'll give a quick early shout out to everybody that volunteers and helps us with everything at TLDC. They are fantastic. Craig and Kim and Kara and everybody that jumps in, and Bethany. Oh my gosh. And they all showed up at TLDC 18 this past week and all pitched in as well. And yeah, couldn't have done it. Can't even do this without them. So thanks everybody for doing that. So first, there's probably a bunch of people sitting in the chat now going, shut up, Brent, and let Cassie introduce herself and tell us who she is. So let's start there.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Is this the origin story part, or do I just get to do an intro?
Just do a quick intro and then we'll do the origin story part.
Okay. Hi from Rochester, New York. Everybody, I wear my vest because I live in a snow globe. And that's actively happening. It's beautiful out there. I would try to show you, but then it would just be like a white screen, right?
That's about it. Look, yeah. Just crank up the camera lens and it'll all of a sudden look like it's snowing anywhere. I could pretend to be there. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I do like it too. I'm not even sad about it. And so it's all good for me. It's beautiful out there. But hi, everybody from Rochester, which actually doesn't usually matter much for the work that I do because I work almost 100% virtually. My main sort of passion and thing in my career is to help people become a virtual trainer that they love being, rather than one that's reading slides and hating life. And so that's actually how I met Candace, who's here today, and ultimately what I end up doing throughout all this L&D community. How do I do webinars? How do I produce these sessions? How do I convert materials that I've been delivering in person in this type of environment? And so most of the people I know seem to be, online and global, but I do try to make, regular in-person appearances with other human beings on occasion as well, because I am a very social person. And actually, I think, being extroverted and being social, which is a natural place for me, is probably what I do every day when I approach this online world. How do we make this so that it feels like we're not online, that it feels like we're here together and in person? And sometimes people even get on me about that. I'll say, yeah, I was hanging out with Brent and the gang on Thursday. And they'll say, where were you? And I'll go, oh, well, it was online. And then they'll think I'm weird for that.
I know, right? It's a culture thing, right? I think we're all still trying to figure out what that's like. And you'll have to pardon my constant references back to TLDC 18 because it's still just so fresh and so awesome. But we were all laughing about just how funny it was that I have never, like Craig Seibert, he and I have known each other online for a while now, but we've only seen each other virtually. And so to see and, seeing each other in 3D was very, very interesting. I just felt like I needed to point my camera at him so that I could see him on the flat screen of my my mobile phone, just to get that comfort level. But it didn't take long for us all to figure it out.
Calibrating. But, whenever I see somebody that I've only known online in person, I'm like, hold on, I'm calibrating the physical you with what I have always heard and seen.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Well, there was a lot of calibrating going on at TLDC 18. Yeah. A lot of us hadn't met yet face to face. So yeah, tons of fun. Well, listen, you mentioned it and I'm so glad you did because I may have forgotten the way I sometimes do. But I'm really curious about your origin story and how you got into being a virtual trainer and being into this, this industry.
Thanks for asking. Okay, so there I was working as a Microsoft trainer for a company called ExecuTrain. I used to live in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh, yeah.
And I worked out of the San Francisco ExecuTrain. My boss at the time was Hunter Gilliam. And he and I had gone to San Francisco State University together. And we both have a background in public speaking and acting. And I ended up going to work for him as a trainer because, when you're somebody who enjoys acting, but you actually want to get work, sometimes you become a trainer, right? An actor in the business world is a trainer sometimes. Now, of course, you got to do a lot more than that. You got to, be worthy of being listened to, right? But he came to me, and I had been working there a couple of years, and he came to me and said, it was HP, actually, in San Jose. They wanted to do virtual classroom, and it was 1999. And I just looked at him. He looked at me, and he goes, yeah, I know. No idea. Just make it sound great. Make it sound like you're on the radio, like you're doing a radio broadcast. And I thought, oh, that'll be fun. It'll be like my gig, pretending like I'm a DJ, And then I had the screen in front of me. It was Placeware. Does anybody know Placeware?
Yes, I remember it, but I have not seen it in a long time.
Gone. All I remember.
That's why.
It became Live Meeting. Microsoft bought it. And
that's right.
That's where the seating chart came from in Live Meeting. But now Now we're on to Skype for Business after many iterations. But I went and did those classes. I drove to the HP office, logged into this crazy Placeware thing, 400 people trying to learn Microsoft Project because I was a Microsoft trainer, 400 people. Can you imagine? 10 people learning Microsoft Project is a feat. So 400. It didn't work, but I learned a lot, and I may or may not have gotten really nervous and maybe lost my breakfast in the parking lot at HP in San Jose. but
I cannot confirm nor deny this, but it may.
But since then, what ended up happening is like 6 months or something after that, you're always looking for a new job when you live in the Bay Area at the time. What's the next greatest thing that's going to happen? And there were these signs along the 101 with RuPaul, and they said, meetings used to be a real drag. And the other one, does anybody remember this? And then the other one was, he had boa on. She had a boa on. We've got to start meeting like this. And it was for WebEx. And I'm like, oh, and they were hiring. And I got a job working at WebEx being a product trainer. And it was super fun right away. And I immediately, just fell into learning how to do it and do it well. I was like, I've been doing this forever since I did it with HP. So awesome. Right? But I didn't really like it. And then, 9/11 happens and the world very much changed on how we meet. And, it became something very important. And I just became really passionate about it. And so there you are. So like you said, it's not like I went to university and said, I'm going to end up being a virtual trainer one day. But the combination of performance and public speaking, and then being a technical trainer with the software and the ability to pick up software, learn it, run with it, made a good combo for me to become a person who helped people be better using the WebEx type platforms of the world. So.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. That's a fantastic story. And if you don't mind, I'm going to save that one for our collection of origin stories. And every once in a while, I try to download a couple and edit them, string them together, and so that we can have just quick snippets of origin stories of people in our industry that I'm just fascinated by them.
Yeah, anything with RuPaul, right? She's awesome.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I wasn't in the Bay. Well, I haven't been in the Bay Area ever, other than just like being there for events and whatnot. But I don't ever remember. I would have thought that back then I would have seen like billboards or something like that. But I guess there wasn't a whole lot of like photo sharing, and like Flickr hadn't come along yet, right? And so I guess it would be hard unless you're there to remember that
I
kind
know.
of stuff.
Who's Googling it right now, right? I am. I want to look for it. RuPaul
Oh
WebEx.
yes,
See if you can
you can
find some
find it.
images.
That early. Yeah. Some early. There's got to be some marketing or advertising agency somewhere that posted them up there, or maybe they have them on their site.
Yeah, there is
like
some.
that,
You know what?
but,
If you Google it, because there was some
yeah.
commercials. Okay, I found meetings used to be a real drag, you guys. Here it is. Here it goes.
Oh, awesome. I knew Craig would come through for us. Good man.
And
Thank you, sir.
there's some interviews on YouTube. Yep, pretty fun. There's an image right there.
Cool. Oh, and the picture too. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna click on it and ha! I love it. Okay, hold on one second. This is too good to pass up and to not have.
I know. It's so good. When I joined WebEx2, they gave me a boa. I wish I still had it. I can't believe I don't have it. But I had a big blue and green boa. Yeah, that's it.
So what year? 99. What year was this? This
99.
was 07? No,
it's like 100 years ago.
Oh my! Right? Jeez. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the year of my truck, and that's the year I almost decided to quit the industry. And wow, lots of great stuff in '99. So. But this is such a great ad, though. I mean, what a fantastic, and it's perfect for the message they were trying to deliver and the story they're trying to tell. Because I think, yeah, I mean, back then was the perfect time that everybody was all just annoyed with meetings and
I know, and then to come out with this online meeting product, how they're going to make it work. You know, I had to play. And I thought too, when I was driving down the 101 for that interview, I remember it. I'm like, anybody who does that for a marketing campaign, I'm in. I'm so in. This works for me. It's super fun. And to be that risky, actually, and to go there. And also at a time, in some ways kind of being ahead of their time with being inclusive, right? So.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, I guess in '99, that was way before the sort of movement, started. And I guess, I don't know, or it being a little bit just more public, but there definitely wasn't at least not at the level that it's now back either to kind of prop up this stuff. Anyways,
so fun.
Very cool stuff. Well, I have a ton of my own questions that I would love to ask just based on now knowing your origin story and whatnot. But maybe, I was going to say, I'm always horrible at getting all of the questions in the Ask a Question section. So maybe I'll start with one of those and then I'll throw in my own later. But it looks like we got two up with 2 votes. So we'll just start with the one that hit the top. What is the secret to engagement in the virtual classroom? Wow, we could talk about that for days.
I'm going to stand up and grab something. I'm moving. Hold on.
No worries.
I have it right here. It's so cool that you should ask, you guys. Look, the secret. And it's going to come in backwards. But look at, if any of you come to my talks, I was just at ATD Tech Knowledge last week. And what I do is I pass this around in the beginning. And I learned this actually. Does anybody watch Mystery Science Theater? You familiar
MST3K, of course. We're all big fans.
Well, Joel Hodgkins or something. He did a talk here at the Eastman Kodak Theater, and Tom and I, my fiance, we went and saw him because Tom's a big fan of that. And he said that the secret to his success was in this little treasure box. And the whole time he's doing his talk, I'm like, what's in the treasure box? And he'd passed it around, and I wanted to know. And I actually don't even remember what was in it. I don't even remember.
So how many people were in the room and he passed one box around?
It was this little tiny box. It looked kind of evil. It was awesome. And there were a lot of people, a couple hundred at least. He was mostly in the front rows, like a theater.
Okay. Did it make it all the way around to all the people by the end of his talk? Or
I don't even know. I was so what's happening? I think it was just trinkets that, inspired him to be kind of, the best riffer in the world, right?
Yeah.
So I stole it though. I turned to Tom and I'm like, I got to use this. It's got to happen when we talk. I got to figure it out. And so I thought about it for a bit, and this is what I ended up doing. I have the secret to engagement in the virtual classroom, or the secret to whatever I'm speaking on, in here. And I put it in this envelope. And I got to get the right one. I grabbed the wrong envelope. Hold on. Okay, here it is. Here it is. And I pass it around, and then somebody holds it and keeps it safe throughout the whole time that we're together. And usually I check in midway. I have the audience vote. Do we trust the person we've chosen? I got to tell you, at TK just now, this woman was like, no, I'm not trustworthy. I need to give it up. She passed the secret to someone else, and he protected it. And I had everyone, like the neighbors, I'm like, is it still protected? You know, because we can't reveal it till the end. And then another thing I have people do, I have the answer, I really do. Another thing I do is I make sure that before the person who's holding the secret agrees to be the person, they have to be trustworthy. And then second, they have to not be a low talker. So there's a nice Seinfeld reference for you guys. But one time I had a person hold the secret, and then when she went to read it, she was like this in front of a whole bunch of people in a room. The secret is this. And it was like, okay, you just ruined my whole gig, you know? So you have to be a loud talker. I like a loud talker for this. And so here's the secret, I think, to engaging virtual classroom, virtual engagement, team, virtual team engagement. And I wish you didn't have to see it backwards, but I think you guys get it. The secret is you. And you can't read this, but I'll read it to you. It's the choices you make. It's the things you do. It's like, think about yourself here today. You show up. You're part of it, right? You're contributing. You're in the chat. And it's the same thing when you're delivering a webinar or when you're delivering a classroom. It's like, it's me, and it's the choices I make that say, I want you to be part of what this is. Yep. And I'm here because of you. And so this isn't about me to sit on this stage and talk, have you be muted and ask for questions at the end. It doesn't work like that. And so the secret is each and every one of you and the choices that you make.
Yeah. And I think that is the big secret as to why we started doing this too. I mean, this is doing TLD cast and doing it like this and finding a platform where, when I first started engaging with live streaming video, the part that really drew me to it in the early days with a platform called Blab. I don't know if you were
that one
in the space, the cruise. It's not around anymore. It lasted for about a year.
I wish I hadn't missed it. I think it's called Blab because I know how to blab. So.
It went, and that's exactly what it was great at too. And everybody could just jump into the video. You could have like 20 plus different video squares all going at the same time and all that kind of stuff. And it was just, I started to realize that everybody has something to say. Everybody has something important to contribute. And it's really all about the conversations, and really the value and the importance is, especially in a community, is in giving everybody a chance to share what it is that they know and to make everything more conversational than we traditionally do. And that has been really difficult for our industry to grasp. And so it's good to hear, I think, somebody that does what you do embrace that as well, because we do have a tendency to want to talk. Even me, I have a tendency to have to really stop myself and try really hard to script in those breaks to ask questions and do that audience engagement, because like right now, there are times where I just want to keep talking.
We all get it. We work in training. I always tell people I have a degree in talking. So like, let's stop, you need to talk to you. That's why you're here, and, people are often really nervous too online. I mean, they're nervous in person, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe we're a little more used to that. But you're nervous online too, because you can't see people. And I'm not sure where to click. Is it all going to break if I click on this? But for me, as soon as people start chatting and start telling me what their challenges are, what they think, all of a sudden I can take a breath. And oh my gosh, they're here. And they want to be part of this. And now all the pressure's off of me. It is so much pressure to lecture. Right. It's like, hard. So.
Yeah. Well, the way what I just started realizing was, if I want to lecture, I'll jump on Periscope and just start talking, say what I have to say. If I want to engage, we'll do TLD cast and we'll come here and I'll engage with everybody. I mean, there's different ways to do it. It's just cool stuff. So there are a couple other questions in there, and I was just about to drop down to the next one, but this is just killing me. I just got to ask. So there must be certain things that you learned as an actress that you apply to what you do in the virtual classroom, right? What are some things, that you could share with us that maybe anybody could apply? I don't know. But I'm curious how you blend the two, because I can sense that there is a connection here, but let's.
For sure. Thanks for asking. Oh, it's one of my favorite questions. Never let him hear you sweat, Janet, too, is what I have, what I said in my book, too. I love that. I think it's voice, the willingness to play with your voice and to pay attention to things like pace and modulation and, okay, we need to get serious now. It's compliance training. But everybody's been challenged by that. It's so hard, and being able to do that is something that makes the biggest difference, because we talk about this a lot in the workshops that I run. You could be the world's foremost subject matter expert on, fill in the blank topic. You could know WebEx or Adobe or Cintra, whatever it is you're using, in your sleep and be like amazing at running it. But if you get into the session and you start talking like this and you're going to read the objectives and then ask for a question, fail. We don't want to be there. We will leave you within 30 seconds, And so voice really is the make or break. And I feel like I got that from two places. It's all the years of acting and speaking and paying attention to it. And then also the years of reading out loud a bunch of cool books to my son. And I'm having to, and I have a boy, so of course it was a lot of books about fighting and swords and battles. And so I became really good at, I remember the double-headed super axe that we had to boy.
That's great. But so, that's a great example, I think, for how, because my next question was going to be, how can those of us who don't have any sort of acting training or anything like that, how can we practice some of those elements and doing it? And I think reading out loud, I think, is a great one, right?
In fact, like when I instruct people I'm working with their trainer manuals, I'm like, read your trainer manual word for word out loud by yourself with your cat or your dog, like 3 times. And then I'm like, the first time, read it like you're at the spa. The second time, read it like you're at a football game, and then the third time, whatever you want, and it's like, that's doing 2 things. It's practicing with voice and your control of it. And it's also helping you with the content so that you then won't read the content once you deliver.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I think that's something we need to work into. Maybe we should do a little, we'll do like a side workshop or something and have people maybe record themselves doing those 3 things. All right. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to stop right here real quick. And we're going to give everybody homework. Let's do some homework, because we learned some cool stuff at TLDC 18. I think there was a handful of folks who hung out with Matt Pierce, our wonderful friends from TechSmith, and he taught everybody how to just push the button. Well, first we had Brian Fanzo on talking to us on our keynote about how to just push the damn button. But Matt just taught us how to push the button and do the video and to just do it. Joseph, you're not leaving because they're homework. Stay right there. This is
it's
easy
not homework. It's an
application
assignment.
There we go. Yes. This is professional development, people. This is what you do. And I think it'll just be super fun. So find some content that you're working with and pick a paragraph and record yourself reading it in. Should we do those 3 styles, or should we have them pick their own styles? Let's not let them think too much. Let's pick 3 styles. What would you say?
Okay. The spa is a fun one because you got to be all mellow and also inviting and soothing, which could appeal to some people. And then I like any kind of sporting event too, because that's the exact opposite of that.
Okay. All right. So let's do that. We'll do a sporting event and we'll do the spa. Fantastic. And then
Need a third one?
Maybe that you mentioned like being a DJ, maybe like your best morning DJ.
I like it, Brent.
Voice.
Let's give that to them. It's fun.
Guys, Oh, Craig's got an ogre. Ogre works too. So we'll make the third one dealer's choice. You know, if you can't think of one, do the DJ, the morning DJ, and you know, get your best DJ voice on. But if you're not comfortable doing that and you'd rather pick your own and be creative, then by all means be creative. But and don't overdo this. You know, just do like Brian and Matt and everybody else that's there talking video. Just point your camera at yourself while you're reading it, or just do audio. Let me make it really easy for you. Don't worry about how you look. Just use the built-in record application on your iPhone, and you can just tap record, set it down, and do that little assignment with the paragraph that you've found, and then just click save and shoot it to me or Luis, or throw it up in the Slack group. Maybe not the file, maybe put it on Google Drive or something. I don't know. You guys are techie and smart. Figure out a way to get it to us. There.
You know, I love this so much, Brent. You know what? There's an activity that I'll do often when I'm working with people who are facilitating or becoming facilitators online, which is what I do every day, where I put up some pictures of different facial expressions, and then I don't let them come on webcam. And I tell them that they have to say the same thing. So I have like, who has the first question? And there's all these different facial expressions, and then they have to say it in such a way that all of us are able to circle or point to which one they're doing. And this is sort of similar to that. And it makes me think, like, I wonder if when they submit it, we need to add that element of, we need to guess what we think they're doing, because we need to know if it worked or not.
Good point. Good point. So maybe when we play them back, we'll do this. We'll play it back. And I'll give you guys some time. I know you all have jobs, and that it might actually take longer than just the 30 seconds that it should take. I know you'll all perseverate on this and want it to be perfect. And so I will give you that time, but start sending it to me. Take some time this weekend if you have to. And let's like maybe try to get them to me like Monday morning or something. And then we'll share them and go through them. Can we have you back on? I'm sorry. Yeah, can I invite you back to go through them with me or something, or jump in the chat, or, you know, you don't have to be here for the whole hour if you don't need to, but just, it'd be fun to have you here and to help me, like go through this. I want to.
In fact, if you're going to do it on the Slack channel, I've already opened up the window. I got to get in there. I got to be in, you guys.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, we'll get you all connected, and we'll just, we'll just, wherever you guys drop them, but we'll add it into TLDcast at some point, and we'll make it a thing, and I'll let you know ahead of time.
Awesome. There's a part two to that too, the acting thing. So one is the voice, and two is the ability to, in acting we call it improv, but in training, what do we call it? Like flexibility. You know, being able to go with it, because, you know, the best laid plans, and then WebEx won't load my slides, you know, or producer doesn't show up, or attendees aren't behaving crazy enough for me or something. And so the ability to move away from the plan and in the moment find a new plan, I think very much comes from all of the stress of all that stage work, all those years, you know.
Yeah, you just kind of get used to it after a while. Like I was talking to Luis about, you know, all of the things that happened in getting ready for TLDC 18. And, you know, there were a few people, I guess, that made some comments to Luis about you guys are just so casual about all this. You know, there's like really stressful things going on, and you both are just like, yeah, well, okay, we'll figure something out. And it's like, I was thinking to myself, it's just because for years we've seen it all. We've had all of the crazy things happen, and you just kind of know and you expect it. And it's almost like I would have been more freaked out if none of that stuff was happening. Like I felt very much in the zone when the chaos was going on. I was like, all right,
this is how it works.
This is great. Here we go. Yeah, this is just what happens. And Craig, I'm so sorry I missed my 30-minute mark, but since we only have 20 minutes left, I'm just going to, I can't skip it anymore. Gosh darn it. Okay. But I promise to keep it really short. So, and I saw the mention to D&D, Matt, and you and I so totally have to talk about that offline. But let me just take a quick break really quick, because now we have actual sponsors and people counting on me to do this. So I will absolutely keep it short, but hold tight, and Cassie, jump into the chat and chat with these folks while I make a few comments about everything that we do here at TLDC and the wonderful people that support us, including RuPaul. No, she's not a sponsor, but she should be, right? Maybe somebody can get us connected with her and we can do like TLD casts, because webinars shouldn't be a drag or something like that. I don't know.
Bring it back.
We'll figure something out.
I'll try to help you with that, because it's my fault that I brought it up today.
Now it's going to be stuck in everybody's head, because we know that the brain does not pay attention to boring things. And we learned that from the neuroscience people and the Picmonic guy at the event as well. So all sorts of fun stuff to be learned. But hey, you guys, I know you all remember the fantastic reception sponsored by the wonderful folks at Mindspace here in Arizona as well, in Tempe. They are relatively new to our industry, and it was fantastic for them to take a chance on us and connect with the community and sponsor the reception, and in order to learn more about this industry and the great people in it, and to help them get their product better, and to give everybody in the industry what they are looking for. So they do a fantastic job. So feel free to hit those guys up. And I forgot to scroll down to actually show the sponsors and our regular sponsors, also TechSmith and Andrew from Designing Digitally. You can see all of his selfies on the Facebook page, I think. It was fantastic. Versal as well, a fantastic sponsor of ours, as well as Intuition and CybSafe. Thank you so much to everybody for being sponsors and supporting TLDC on a regular basis. We really, really appreciate it, and hope that everybody in the chat and everybody in the community will give them a shout out and help make them feel welcome as a part of our community as well. So we thank everybody. I would also like to give a big shout out to the folks at Domino as well. They are currently at LT18 UK. They just finished a great user community conversation meetup, and we launched a LinkedIn group for them as well, which is fantastic. So we've had a lot of movement forward in building that community, and I am super happy to be a part of that team. And you will also be seeing a big announcement that will most likely be going out today along those lines as well. So thanks to the Domino guys. And for those of you who use authoring tools and have never heard of Domino before, take a look, because I did notice that they're probably the most award-winning authoring tool that you've never heard of. So check them out and get connected. And if you know somebody who's a user, ask them why, and they will tell you all of the great things. So with that, I will take us back out of the halftime show that came up too late and turned into the three-quarter halftime, the three-quarter show, and now we're back.
That was good.
So yeah, talking about good stuff. How did I do there? Was that good?
Amazing,
I don't think I did enough voice fluctuation, but I should. No,
I think you did, actually. I thought it for a second that I wasn't even here. I was like, oh wait, my radio's on.
You're too kind. Far too kind. Stop that. So, all right, here we go. So, I'll bet there's a heck of a lot more we could talk about on the acting side, but I'm afraid with the way I'm going, we're going to not get to all of these questions. So I'm going to hold off on that, and we'll save that for our next conversation. The next time we talk, you and I just get to have free reign. How about that? And we get to ask all the questions that we want.
Yeah. And you know what? There are the other one that got the vote, and then there's a new one that came in. So maybe we can get to those.
Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Well, let's get the current one with 2 votes. Can you go over the top 1 or 2 platforms to use when using a virtual classroom, and why?
So this is totally opinion from me. I no longer work for any of these vendors. It's totally about what kind of experiences I like to create when I deliver, online with people. And so for me, it's about how easy is it to connect? And do I have the tools that I need to run these activities to help people learn and be able, most importantly, to apply what they've learned? And if I'm lucky, have like a transformational experience, because I'm lofty that way. For me, it's the top two are WebEx and Adobe Connect. WebEx Training Center and Adobe Connect for sure. Zoom is coming up to be a big player, and I'm actually in session this afternoon to really go through Zoom and do some more with it. I don't love it yet, so we'll see. But for me, I really like to have a variety of tools that go beyond webcam and screen share. I like that we have those, but I need more than that for learning. Learning, right? And so whiteboard is really important. And for me in particular, I like being able to whiteboard on the PowerPoint slides so that I'm not making just plain pieces of paper come in. Because I'll design my slides to be written upon. And so I like to load slides, and I'll be like, I'll bring in a bunch of boxes, and I'll say, what's one key word for you? Like what's one key word that would describe your challenge with whatever we're working on? And you need to be a leader. So like, what's one challenge of being a leader? Type it in one of these boxes. And then I've got these slides where they've all typed, and then I can call on them and say, tell me more. Let's learn. Why, how, what are we going to do about it? And that document that they can touch and work on starts to replace the whole idea that I'm not with you and we're not doing things, because I am with you. And we are doing stuff. So whiteboard, chat, I have to have breakouts because people get tired of being with just me. It's hard to believe, but they, like to go off on their own.
Do you ever run into does all of that stuff sometimes though feel like it gets in the way, or do you have to educate your audience too much first to teach them how to use it before you actually can start using it effectively?
Oh yeah. We talk about this a lot. This is huge. Yes, you've got to learn the tech, and yes, you've got to focus on how you sound and your content, blah, blah, blah. But actually there's a whole other group of people that need to learn the tech too, because they don't know how to be here. They don't even know how to talk to you. And it's so interesting to think about, because people forget that every single time, and they don't realize it until they're in the moment and the people can't use the stuff that they're asking them to use. And it's like, you have to. And so I have a whole thing. One of the chapters I put in my book was, how do you get people ready? And I don't get you ready by telling you, hey, we're going to use chat. There's a thing called chat, and it's over there, and then we'll use it one day. I actually will be like, log in, type your name. Where are you from? Type it in the chat. Where's chat? Over there on the right. Click it. Type it. You just used it. We're going to use it the whole time, So just get in.
Nice. Hands-on learning, right?
Yeah, and then they do. If you just tell them, they don't listen. If you send them a video, they don't watch it. Or if they do watch it, they don't learn it. Not when it comes to technical skills, in my experience. Videos are awesome for many things, but teaching somebody how to use the whiteboard in WebEx or Adobe via a video, nah, they'll still come in and be like, where do I click? And I'm like, I understand. I mean, you need to click, and it needs to be in that moment and timely and right for you, right when you need it. And then you'll learn it. And so for me, it's those tools, and they can be overwhelming. And your job as a facilitator is to learn the tools so much that you can then forget about it. Like, you got to put it in the back seat. It's like, I always say, you've got to learn it inside, outside, upside down, backward, all around. And then guess what? Get over it.
Try not to let it, influence the things you do too much, but, use the features that are there. All right. So let me jump into this next question quickly. Is there such a thing as advanced virtual
that's
classroom?
Kind of my thing. I put that out there earlier because I'm on this mission this year in 2018 to discover, is there anything more to this? So for people, who've been doing this, I've been doing this over 20 years, and there's a lot of people now that are pretty experienced. They're using whiteboard, they're using breakout, they're using chat, and they're bored. And so is there anything more to this? Is there anything that we can advance our own skills? And I'm exploring that, actually. And to throw that out there to all of you is of interest to me. Because I think,
So this is going to take us down a very strange road, but just let's, you can answer just quickly or not, but have you experimented with virtual training, but in virtual reality, like multiplayer type virtual reality type classrooms?
I have a little bit of that. And I also have a 15-year-old son who's a total gamer. And of course, that's what he got for Christmas. And so, interesting to sort of play with that and see how, it's going to end up being. But when you talk about people not knowing how to use a whiteboard, when I was learning to control my avatar, the lady was like, "Stop bumping into me. You're crowding my personal space." And I'm like, "I don't know how to move it." Like, forget about learning. I'm just trying to figure out what clothes I'm wearing and how to walk. It's of interest to me, but it's got to be easier to use. It's got to be. It's too hard.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I totally get that. Is there then a balance so the chat doesn't overwhelm the learning objectives?
Yeah, and I think that's, again, that it's all on you. It's up to you, trainer, facilitator. You have to watch it. And so, like, for me, what I'll do from a design side is that if we're going to be in the chat for a moment, I'll have one big slide that's like, what have you had success with? It's just one big question. Let's go to the chat, and then everybody move your eyeballs to the chat, and now let's focus, and then come back, debrief. It's up to me to manage all of that. And I very much believe in being real. And if it's going wild and crazy, I'll just stop and be like, "Craig, what am I missing over there in the chat? Let's talk for a second. You guys are hot today." You know what I mean? And I just do that when I'm training. And it's like, for me, I actually get way more stressed out. I love to deal with the problem of too much chat or too much interaction, because the opposite is depressing. And,
Oh, yeah. And it's so much easier, I think, to bring people down and to manage that excitement than it is to try to amp it up and to get people to engage. At least I've found. I mean, once I guess you can, once you get them going, sometimes they're all just quiet together, but if you can tease out one or two, then they all get going. But yeah, I have much more fun when everybody's just in.
I know. And this is another thing people often ask me when I do training online, if we're doing like application and higher levels, speaking of advanced learning, by the way, I think it's about higher levels of learning and how can we do that in the virtual environment. I don't have more than 20 people here for that type of event. I move into webinar mode if I've got more than 20, and that's going to be lower levels of learning and more presentation and style till I can get to my small groups. So I'm not trying to watch hundreds of chat, because that is unrealistic.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There is a point at which the chaos is uncontrollable and unmanageable.
And I'll call it out
for
too.
Sure.
Like if anyone's ever inappropriate, I've actually been known to call it out. So they know I'm watching them and they matter. Like you are here and you matter. And I use people's names, and I'm like, I will. And I've had people had some weird things, but if I manage it, people they're not usually weird in a weird way. I usually like weird, but in a bad way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, they know when you're watching them, right? And if you just call somebody out, even for something really nice, that at least is a trigger for them to accept the fact that, oh, wow, she's, paying attention to us over here. So maybe I should behave myself and not just completely go off the rails. But I'm gonna go jump right down to Craig's question here real quick, because he's got a few sentences there, so this might take us a few minutes. When I was doing ILT, one of the best ways I got comfortable with the room was to just walk around in the space before people showed up or as they were coming in. It helped me command the area a little better. Is there a way to do that with a virtual
Thank you so much for asking that, Craig. I do the same thing. Today, before even coming in here today, I was like walking around my whole house, and I actually do also I just got this, like showing you guys stuff. I just got this really giant kind of gamer style headset for me, and it's wireless. And I was going to wear it, except for that I don't love how big it is. But the wireless thing's kind of cool because you can walk around, and I do that. And then for me also, I'm so busy. In the way that I run the virtual classroom, where we're on the chat, we're on the whiteboard, I'm in breakouts. I feel like I'm moving around on the computer, but I do also stand up and walk around the room too. So best you can do, right?
Yeah. And I try to do the same thing whenever I'm giving presentations at events or whatever. Wasn't able to do it much because everything was a little bit different at TLDC 18, but When you're kind of waiting around, a lot of that comfort level is just chatting with people as they're coming in, because you can see them all sitting together and nobody's talking to each other. So you get to walk around and you get to say, hey, how's it going? Why did you choose this session? What are your expectations? Oh, and then walk back a little further, 2 or 3 rows, and get to the next person and say, how about you? And then every once in a while you get people starting a conversation amongst themselves that maybe they didn't meet before. And, next thing you know, you're as up right on time. You've already got some people kind of engaged now and ready really to get going, and you're priming that space. And I think to Craig's point, that gives me a level of comfort. It's like, oh, okay, now I know a few people in this room now. And so now when I wander back up to the front and I'm teaching, I've got something that I can cue on if I need to engage to get things going.
In your first slide, when you're in WebEx or Adobe or Zoom, whatever you are, your first slide doesn't need to be welcome to Compliance 101. It can be welcome. What's your favorite thing about complying? Turn to a neighbor and share it. We got to figure it out. Those slides facilitate the interaction that you just described right from the get-go.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a great way to do what you're talking about, Craig. I mean, for virtually, right? Yeah, do that first, even if it's during some of the time, that the training is supposed to be occurring. To just kick it off with that, I think it helps the attendees start to feel a little bit more comfortable.
They're not going to learn anything if they're not comfortable. Like the relationship building that you do, the safe environment that you create is first. It's like, how many times do we have a title slide and then an introduction slide and then an objective slide? Which actually, who listens to any of that? If you just open with a story, nobody reads it. Or just start opening with a story. Compliance, it's my favorite thing in the world. You know why? And then they're like, wait, what? And then, you're going to introduce yourself through the way you conduct yourself and the things you say. And, they can go read your bio. They can go LinkedIn you and look all that up. You don't need to lecture that ever. You can just tell stories and get in there and start asking them, better yet, to share theirs. And then them. And now it's easy to be there. It's like what you guys have done with this community. You share and you know each other, and it moves forward. And before you know it, it's already been an hour, right?
Yeah, I know. Right now I'm just looking at the clock. Thank you very much for that subtle cue. I appreciate that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to force in this last question just so I can say for once I finally made it through all the questions, because I think it's an easy one. Maybe not. You tell me if we need to save it for later. But what is the deal with bad live online training, and why do webinars
Because they don't do all the things we've been talking about. They don't know the tech. They don't recognize their voice. They think that they could just take the slides they use in person and just show up and read them to us, And then they also don't give it credit.
Yeah.
I think that we have this weird thing, we lose everything we know about how to be a good person and to be a good is evaluative. I get that. But to be a person who's engaging, you've studied that, maybe you pay attention to that in person. I should conduct myself so that people accept me when you're out to lunch, right? But then why would you come online and just click a link and have terrible slides and be like, I don't know how to move my slides. I think that's why they do. And then the assumption that none of it will work.
Yeah.
We can't connect because we're not in person.
Yeah. So I'm just going to sit here and read these things because no one's looking at me sitting here behind my desk. Anyways, I don't see anybody. So the faster I get through these things, the faster we can all just hang up and move on.
True.
Right.
So true.
Yeah. I think maybe it all just boils down to just caring. I don't know.
Just care.
If you're gonna get a whole bunch of people in a room, in a space, and you're going to take their time.
And you know what else you got to care about too? Because you're absolutely right. You got to care about the platform. You got to care about it a little bit. It's not just you got to learn it and help people be in it, and not just write it off as unlikely to be good enough,
Yeah, right. Especially if you end up using one that really isn't your favorite. Right. And now all of a sudden you've gone in with a negative attitude. If you do that, it's think of it more of as inviting people into your home when you have a party or something, right? You want them to feel at home. You don't invite people in and go, kind of hate my house. This isn't my favorite house, but it's okay. It worked for now.
If only we were in person and we could really learn this, but since we're online and go to training, we'll just try.
Yeah.
But if you do that, it's like, can I just have a copy of the slides?
Right. What can I do? Just get out of here. Oh, man, this has been so much fun, Cassie. Thank you for hanging out with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. You guys are fun.
And special thanks to Candace for telling you about us and inviting you to be a part of being a guest.
Thanks, Candace.
Where can people find you?
Where can they find me? Email, online, usually in virtual classrooms all over the place. I'm going to be at Training Magazine 2018 in a couple of weeks if anybody's going. I'll be at ICE. I'll be in Philadelphia with Core 4 too. So conferences are usually I'm hanging around. I'm on Twitter, but I'm a bad Twitter person. But I am there. Here's Twitter. It's Cassie_L. I need like Twitter training. LinkedIn's really great too.
Oh, that's a good one too. Yeah.
LinkedIn's really good. And I'm all over Facebook. I'm in the places.
Okay, good. So
I have a website. Fine. Let me put that out there. Okay.
So if you guys need some virtual training talent, you now have a go-to resource. And we as a community now have a go-to resource amongst all the other ones that are here too. I know there are plenty of you that also do virtual training as well. So don't get me wrong. I know we've got a collection of folks that do all of the work of training, learning, and development. And we appreciate all of you. That's why we're here as a community. So thanks again for being with us, Cassie. And I'm definitely going to stay in touch, and I'm going to let you know when I need you back and we can finish off the exercise.
I know. I'm going to go join the Slack group and get everything all situated so I can be part of it and see you guys and come back to, I know you run this daily, don't you?
Yep. Every day, every morning.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's why we have to keep it kind of loosey-goosey, because if we formalized it, it would take too much time. So, we just kind of turn it on and go.
Right. Well, thanks for having me here today. And I'm noticing them in my mirror. Barbie was here with us.
Oh, yes. The whole time. Yeah, nobody even pointed that out. It's good.
But awesome. It's really fun. So good to meet you guys. And I look forward to being part of all the things that you're doing and the world changing that it seems like each of you are doing as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks so much. I'm going to close your video, but we'll still be here for a few more minutes as I wrap up a few things.
Thank you.
Good to see you. All right, everybody. Wow, that was fantastic. What a great way to come back after TLDC 18. We have a ton of stuff to talk about regarding TLDC 18 as well. And I haven't decided yet if we should do like a special like TLD cast at a different time where we just kind of all debrief, or if we utilize Video Friday, or if we pick a day next week, maybe. I just don't know. I haven't had too much time to put too much thought into it, but yeah, Craig, maybe Monday. Maybe Monday is part of that. But I'm totally serious about the exercise, by the way. You guys do that. And Joseph asked the question, what text or what paragraph does it matter? And find training, any training work that you're working on, or any document that you work on, or that's a part of your day-to-day training that you do. Just pick it up, find some training on your intranet or whatnot. But, jump in there and just pick a paragraph and just read it. And in those 3 styles, and record it. I think this will be fun. A great learning exercise for everyone, and another great learning exercise in sharing it with the community. So tons of fun. Thank you all so much for being here. Check out the podcast. Check out the archives of all of the crowdcasts that we've done, 200 plus strong, lots of great value, lots of great content. We will be here again tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. UK time. We launched without even checking to see if anybody from the UK was here, but they are all busy at LT18 UK. So hang out and listen in on that hashtag if you need to. But thanks everybody for hanging out today. It was a ton of fun. And again, don't forget to check out all of our sponsors. We really appreciate all of their help and everything they do for us. Everybody have a great and fantastic day. We'll see you tomorrow. Adios. I'll bet you thought I forgot the gong for you.